Lucid Totality. I'm Leah Wald, and I'm here with Tyler Jenks, who today is going to explain what's going on in the Bitcoin market and what's up with GBTC. Tyler?
Great. Thank you very much, Leah. Hello, everybody. This is Tyler Jenks. We're going to do a very brief channel report today on two things. One is the price of Bitcoin, because it's getting very, very interesting. And the second is just a news item on the Bitcoin investment trust that we talked about in an earlier vlog. They made an announcement that's very interesting, and I want to talk about that just for a second. So I'm going to go right to screen share, and we are going to pull up, first of all, just a chart of Bitcoin, the one we've been looking at before. And you will recognize this. I've drawn a couple of trend lines on it because something very interesting is beginning to happen. I believe that we are very close to breaking down below the 10,000 level. And I'm going to show you some charts to indicate why I believe that. The chart you're looking at right now is on Bitcoin Wisdom. We're going to look at some trading view charts on Bitcoin prices. But what you're looking at is the price earlier this morning down here where it hit 10,263. Big drop last night. We're looking at a 30-minute chart. So we had broken out above this trend line up here briefly late last night and in the early evening, came all the way down from 11,600 to 10,200, and then it bounced off the 10,000 level and has run up to over 11,000, and now it's beginning to slip again as we're talking. It's sitting right around 11,100 after running up as high as 11,250. But let me give you a little bigger perspective on this to show you these trend lines I'm talking about. On the bottom, we've got 3 points now at the low from our high, which was December 16th at 19,666. We came all the way down to 9,222. That's the first point on this trend line I've drawn. The second point occurred not all that long ago, and we bounced off of the trend line after testing it here and coming back up to the upper trend line. And now we're struggling, but notice that we're getting closer and closer to the vertex of these two lines. And we will break out either to the upside or to the downside shorter today, probably today, if not in the early evening or tomorrow morning. And that will determine a lot of things. Why? Well, let's take a look at a little bigger chart. This is the top at 19,666. 6 days later, this was a bottom that is held until just about a week and a half ago. We ran up from that bottom all the way up to what I am now saying is an important trend line, and we came down off of it, came back up to the trend line, fell all the way back and started the bottom trend line. Went back up to the top, back down to the bottom, back up to the top. And now I believe we're in a position where we must break out. And I believe they're both very important lines. To get a better idea of what these lines look like on a much more important basis, I'm going to go to Trading View. And are you able to see this one?
Yep.
Okay, great. This is a very short time frame chart, but it includes the top at 19,666 back on December the 16th all the way to today. And I've made some annotations at a particular line here right around the 10,000 to 11,000 area, going back before we broke through the 10,000 level all the way back in November the 29th. Just there, we were testing that line from the bottom. We moved down because the test didn't work. We tried it again and we had a big breakout. And it was this breakout at this point in early December the 3rd approximately, in which started the huge, massive run up that doubled the price of Bitcoin in approximately 2.5 weeks, from the 10,000 level all the way up to just about 20,000. Now, I'm going to spread this out a little bit so that we can see what has happened recently since that. I'm putting up a chart now where I've got a trend line in dark blue or light blue. I guess it's a turquoise color. And this is the same chart we just looked at, but over a much shorter time frame. And this is where we are today. We're trading now at 11,050 above my line, which comes in just about the 11,000, 10,971. I'm going to scroll back on this chart to show you how important this line is that we tested this morning. I sent out a tweet saying, I believe that we are about to break this line to the downside. Remember, it began all the way back before we ran up from 10,000 to 20,000. We're now sitting on it again. Here we broke down below this line on the 26th, just earlier, 7 o'clock. We came all the way down, and then we retested it this morning, came down, and then broke through it slightly. Now we're headed back down to it. Now, follow as I go back in history, this blue line, which is, I believe, the most significant trend line that we're looking at right now. It's a horizontal line at 10,972. Here, we're testing it from the top. We're trying to break through it. We bounce off of it, come back. We break through it slightly for minutes, and then it reestablishes itself, the price of Bitcoin. Let's go back further. Here, once again, on January the 24th, we've tested it from the top once, went up, tested it from the top twice, broke it slightly, and then went all the way back up again. Here, earlier on the 24th, we retested it 3 times. It held, bounced up, but then like a magnet, pulled the price right back down to it. Here is the first real breakdown that lasted a little while, and that was also earlier on the 23rd, and an awful lot of people started shorting with that breakdown, only to be disappointed by the fact that it was able to reestablish itself. Let's go back even further. We have a breakout above that line on the 23rd of January, very early. So the 23rd was a very important date only a couple of days ago, where this war is taking place between buyers and sellers above and below this line. Go back a little earlier. This is earlier on the 23rd, a test from the bottom. Earlier on the 23rd, a test from the bottom. very significant breakdown, which occurred on the 22nd of January. And we spent a lot of time below and dropped much, much lower. As we go back, you're going to see exactly how important this chart is. And to get the full picture, I'm going to extend this chart just a bit. And show that after the initial breakout at 10,000, we came back down and tested that line, ran all the way up to 16,800, fell back towards the line, but the demand for Bitcoin was so powerful at this point on December the 10th that it didn't really come close. It closed $3,000 above the line, went all the way up to 20,000, and then we get the beginning of the series of tests we just looked at on December the 22nd, all the way down from 20,000 to the below that 10,000 level. And then all the way back up to 17,000 and all the way back down to the level, broke it, all the way down to 9,200. And ever since, we've been in this remarkable period in which all of these breakouts and tests and retests have been taking place. So, the future of price over the next month to two is in the balance at this moment, right around the $10,100 level. We are approaching the vertex or the apex of two trend lines that we looked at before on this chart. And above the trend line coming down, we're going to have a breakout to the upside. Below that trend line, we're going to have a breakout to the downside with targets, first of all, of the 9,000 lows, and then 8,000 and below, unless that's able to hold between 7,500 and 8,000. Okay, I'm going to show you one other chart. This is not Bitcoin. This is the only security that we can buy in retirement accounts, or the only security that can be bought with the blessing of the Securities and Exchange Commission and their approval of this 3 years ago. Remember, this is called the Bitcoin Investment Trust, GBTC, and what it looks very similar to is what we just looked at as the Bitcoin chart. Here I've got another trend line, horizontal, that mirrors the 10,100 on the Bitcoin line in terms of the number of times that it is held as resistance and then held as support. And we are sitting this morning right on that line. As it should, because this particular security, every share of it is equal, at least until Monday, of 1/10 of one Bitcoin. Something's about to happen on Monday morning coming up. The shares of this are splitting from the current level of $1,657 down to $16.57 approximately. That's just rough. That would be a dividing it by 100 shares. What's actually going to happen is each share that is owned in the Bitcoin Investment Trust is going to be replaced with an added 90 shares, 90 shares, making a total of 91 shares for every share that owners have as of the 22nd of January. What does that mean? It's a stock split in which for every share that is owned, another 90 shares will be given, and the price of the original shares will be reduced by that percentage. I'm telling you all that just because there's a lot of confusion. I've been getting a lot of emails and tweets asking exactly what does this mean. Net from a dollar point of view, it doesn't really mean anything, because whenever you have a stock split, what really happens is value does not change. Other things do change, but not the total value of your ownership. Let me give you a very quick example. If you've got 100 shares of IBM and they split 2 for 1 and IBM was trading for $100, you're going to have 200 shares. They're going to double the number of shares, but the price will drop by 50%, which means you've got the same amount of dollars invested. You simply have more shares at a lower price. Exactly what the motivation is for GBTC to do this, they have not made clear. We can speculate on it, but I will note one thing. As of today, Bitcoin Investment Trust is trading for over a 50%, 50 premium to the price of Bitcoin. I believe what's going to happen after the split is that premium is going to shrink for 2 reasons. The first reason is that the price of Bitcoin is still in a downtrend, and the premium on GBTC tends to shrink when Bitcoin prices are dropping. It tends to go up when Bitcoin prices are going up. The second reason is people, instead of having to buy a share of GBTC at $1,500, $1,600, not too long ago was selling at $3,300 a share. Instead of paying those kind of prices, they'll be paying per share $16, $17, or at the highest $33. Clearly, they've got a lot less. They've got a lot more shares worth a lot less, equaling what they had before. I think that will tend to shrink the premium over time. It will bring a lot of new players in that will only try for $100 or $200, as opposed to having spent 10 or 15 or 20,000 to get a Bitcoin or two. So that's our review for the day of the prices. Very important. 2 lines, one on Bitcoin at 10,100, one on GBTC at 16,055. Thank you for listening, and back to you, Leah.
Fantastic. January 26th. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time.